Magical Forest Quest of Eve. Chapter 1. The Fall into Wonderland. Eve was a curious and adventurous 6-year-old girl with a brilliant mind and a passion for discovery. She lived in a small village surrounded by a vast forest that was filled with secrets and mysteries. One sunny afternoon, she decided to explore the forest, eager to see what wonders it held. As she walked deeper into the forest, she stumbled upon a large hole in the ground. It was covered with tall grass and leaves, and Eve couldn't see how deep it was. But she was fearless and had always been drawn to adventure, so she jumped into the hole. When she landed, she found herself surrounded by a world unlike any she had ever seen. The colors were brighter, the air was filled with the fragrance of flowers, and there was a sense of magic in the air. Eve had fallen into a wonderland, a place where anything was possible. She explored this new world for hours, discovering enchanted forests, glittering rivers, and towering mountains. She was amazed by the beauty and wonder of the wonderland, and she felt a sense of belonging there. Eve walked through the forest, lost in thought. She was deep in the woods, surrounded by tall trees and the sounds of nature. As she walked, she heard a loud roar that shook the trees and echoed through the forest. She stopped in her tracks, heart pounding in her chest, and tried to figure out what it was. Suddenly, a large dragon appeared before her, breathing fire and smoke. Eve was terrified at first, but as she looked into the dragon's eyes, she saw a glimmer of kindness. The dragon's eyes were like pools of liquid gold, and despite his fearsome appearance, there was a sense of gentleness about him. Eve approached the dragon slowly, her heart racing in her chest. The dragon roared ferociously, but she wasn't afraid. She knew that there was something special about this creature. As she got closer, she held out her hand, and the dragon sniffed at it curiously. Eve knew that she had to be cautious, but she trusted her intuition. She approached the dragon with a sense of wonder and soon discovered that the dragon was kind and gentle. She named him Flame, and with her brilliant mind and gentle touch, she tamed him. Over time, Eve and Flame became inseparable. They would explore the forest together, soaring high above the treetops and marveling at Flame, and would often use his powerful wings to reach new heights. Flame was more than just a dragon to Eve. He was her closest friend and companion. They had a bond that was unbreakable, and they shared a deep understanding of each other. Flame had taught Eve the true meaning of trust and loyalty, and she had taught him the value of love and companionship. Together, they explored the mysteries of the forest, discovered new creatures, and found hidden treasures. Eve had found a new sense of purpose in life, and she knew that with Flame by her side, she could conquer anything. In the end, Eve realized that sometimes the greatest adventures in life come from unexpected places. The dragon that had once terrified her had become her closest friend, and together they had found a world of wonder and magic. It was a lesson she would carry with her forever. Chapter 2. The Threat of the Monster. Eve's journey through the enchanted forest had been full of wonder and amazement. Eve soon realized that the wonderland was not all sunshine and rainbows. There was a dark force lurking in the shadows, a monster that threatened to destroy everything. She encountered a group of villagers who told her about the monster and the destruction it had caused. They told her that the monster was powerful and that no one had ever been able to defeat it. But Eve was not one to back down from a challenge. She knew that she couldn't defeat the monster alone, so she set out to gather all the heroines of the Wonderland. As she emerged from the forest, Eve was greeted by a group of fairies. They were unlike any fairies she had ever seen before, with wings that shimmered in the sunlight and dresses that glowed in the dark. They were renowned for their beauty and their magic, and Eve knew that they would be valuable allies in her fight against the monster. The fairies welcomed Eve with open arms, and they agreed to join her on her quest. They knew the land well, and they could guide her through the most treacherous of terrains. They had powers that Eve had never even dreamed of, and they were determined to use them to help her in any way they could. As they journeyed together, Eve and the fairies came across a group of brave knights. The knights were on a quest of their own, searching for a way to defeat an evil sorcerer who was wreaking havoc across the land. But when they heard of Eve's quest, they knew that they had to help her. They were sworn to protect the land and its people, and they knew that defeating the monster was the best way to do that. Together, Eve, the fairies, and the knights continued on their journey. They traveled through the glittering rivers, where they encountered a group of mermaids. The mermaids had the power to control the elements, and they agreed to join Eve in her fight against the monster. They knew the rivers and the oceans better than anyone, and they were determined to use their powers to help Eve and her allies. Finally, they reached the towering mountains. The mountains were home to a group of fierce warriors, renowned for their courage and strength. They had faced many battles and had emerged victorious every time. They knew that Eve's quest was a worthy one, and they agreed to join her on her journey. Eve now had a team of powerful allies, each with their own unique skills and abilities. They knew that the monster was powerful and dangerous, but they were determined to defeat it. They trained together, honing their skills and developing new ones. They worked as a team, learning to trust and rely on each other. Chapter 3. The Journey to the Lair. As the heroines set out on their journey to the monster's lair, the sky grew dark and the wind began to howl. It was as if the very air around them was warning them of the danger ahead. But they were not afraid. They knew that their skills and powers were strong enough to face any challenge that lay ahead. As they journeyed deeper into the enchanted forest, they encountered creatures of all kinds, both friendly and hostile. They met talking animals, mischievous sprites, and towering giants, each with their own unique powers and personalities. But as they approached the lair of the monster, they knew that their true test was about to begin. The entrance to the lair was shrouded in a thick mist that seemed to swirl around them, obscuring their vision and making it difficult to breathe. It was as if the monster's dark magic was already trying to overpower them. Eve called upon her dragon flame to create a fiery shield around them, illuminating the darkness and keeping the mist at bay. The fairies, who had been hovering above, began to weave their magic, creating an intricate web of spells that would distract the monster. The knights and warriors charged forward, their swords drawn, ready for battle. The mermaids emerged from the nearby stream, their long hair swirling around them, and they began to control the elements. The wind picked up, and the rain started to pour, creating a powerful storm that would weaken the monster. The monster emerged from the shadows, its massive body looming over them. Its eyes glowed with a sinister light, and its breath came in ragged bursts, as if it had been waiting for this moment for centuries. The heroines fought with all their might, using their skills and powers to outmaneuver the monster. Eve used her brilliant mind to outsmart the monster, anticipating its every move and finding ways to weaken it. Flame breathed fire, creating a wall of flames that kept the monster at bay. The fairies continued to weave their spells, creating illusions and distractions that kept the monster off balance. The knights and warriors fought valiantly, their swords clashing against the monster's scales. The mermaids continued to control the elements, creating waves that crashed against the monster, knocking it off balance. The battle was fierce and intense, but Eve and her allies fought with all their might. The fairies used their magic to confuse and disorient the monster. The knights charged at it with their swords, the mermaids summoned waves and currents to drive it back, and the warriors fought with all their strength. In the end, it was Eve who dealt the final blow. With a quick and clever move, she managed to slip past the monster's defenses and strike it where it was most vulnerable. The monster let out a terrible roar, and then it fell to the ground, defeated. As the monster lay still, the heroines looked around, amazed at what they had accomplished. The storm dissipated, and the mist lifted, revealing a beautiful vista that had been hidden from view. Eve and her allies rejoiced, knowing that they had saved the land from destruction. The Wonderland was safe once again. They knew that they had accomplished something great, something that would be remembered for generations to come. And they knew that they had formed a bond that would never be broken, a bond that would help them over any obstacle and carry them through any challenge or adversity that they might face in the future. Chapter 4. The Celebration of Victory. The heroines were hailed as the champions of the Wonderland upon their return, and the villagers were overjoyed at their victory. The air was filled with the sound of trumpets and drums, and the streets were decorated with colorful banners and streamers. The villagers had prepared a grand feast in honor of their heroes, and the aroma of roasted meat, freshly baked bread, and savory sauces filled the air. The tables were laden with an abundance of food and drink, and everyone was invited to partake in the festivities. Eve, who had played a pivotal role in defeating the monster, was given a special place of honor at the head of the table. The villagers cheered her name, and they offered her their most valuable treasures as a token of their gratitude. She received a jeweled crown, a golden scepter, and a bejeweled necklace, all of which were said to be passed down through generations. Flame, the dragon, was not left out of the celebrations either. The villagers had built a special dragon-sized bonfire in the center of the village, and they invited him to sit beside them and share in their feast. Flame was touched by the gesture, and he felt a deep sense of gratitude towards the people he had once feared. As the night wore on, the villagers continued to sing and dance, and the heroines joined in the revelry. They danced around the bonfire, their laughter and joy echoing throughout the Wonderland. The fairies, knights, mermaids, and warriors all received recognition for their bravery and skills, and they were honored for their contributions to the battle against the monster. The next few days were filled with wonder and adventure. Eve and her friends explored the nooks and crannies of the Wonderland, discovering hidden paths and secret waterfalls. They marveled at the beautiful gardens and the shimmering lakes, and they played with the playful sprites and pixies. As they journeyed through the Wonderland, they encountered many challenges, but they faced them with courage and determination. They learned new skills and honed their existing ones, and they grew even closer as friends. They knew that their journey was far from over, but they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. They had proven themselves to be heroes, and they were determined to face whatever the future held with bravery and grace. Chapter 5. The Return Home. Eventually, Eve realized that it was time for her to return home. As she bid farewell to her new friends in the Wonderland, she felt a sense of bittersweet sadness. It was hard to leave the magical world behind, but she knew that her family was worried about her, and she had to return to her responsibilities. She climbed back up the hole that had brought her to the Wonderland, feeling a bit apprehensive about what she would find on the other side. As she emerged from the forest, she was relieved to find that no time had passed. It was as if she had never left. She felt a rush of joy as she saw her family waiting for her, their faces filled with relief and happiness. They enveloped her in a warm embrace, and she knew that she had been missed. She couldn't wait to tell them all about her incredible adventure. As she shared her stories, her family listened with rapt attention, hanging on every word. They were amazed at the Wonderland's magical creatures and breathtaking landscapes. Eve's parents were proud of her bravery and determination. They had always known that she was a curious and adventurous soul, and her journey to the Wonderland was a testament to her spirit. They were glad that she had returned safe and sound. For Eve, the Wonderland would always hold a special place in her heart. She knew that it was a place of mystery and wonder, and that there were many more adventures waiting for her. She felt a sense of anticipation as she thought about all the other magical worlds that might be out there, just waiting to be discovered. As she settled back into her old routine, Eve found that she couldn't stop thinking about the Wonderland. She would often daydream about the creatures she had met and the landscapes she had seen. She longed to go back and explore even more. But for now, she knew that there were other responsibilities that needed her attention. Still, she smiled, knowing that her journey was far from over. The Wonderland had shown her that there were many more mysteries and wonders waiting for her to discover. and she couldn't wait to see where her curiosity and sense of adventure would take her next.